Yes, it is I, your humble host, Bill Hatch the Third, coming to you live from the from the palatial studios of Bald Spots Productions here in the beautiful city of Irvine, California. It's been a long day, can you tell? Joining me through over a more than acceptable safe social distance through the miracle of telephony is my guest for this evening, Jasmine Deanne Andrews. How you doing, Jasmine?
I'm doing well.
Oh, just before we were talking about food, and now I'm hungry. I want Chipotle now. Oh, so where are you calling from?
Virginia?
Virginia. Okay.
Yes.
My first
All the way on the other
my
side
first
of the
job
country.
was in Alexandria at KB Toy Stores.
Nice.
Yeah. So I am familiar with the area. I'm a
Well, that's the northern part of Virginia. I'm from the Hampton Roads Tidewater area,
oh,
so it's a
okay.
lot less here. I mean, it's growing, but yeah, Alexandria is kind of like a city,
Yeah.
whereas
Well, suburb, but
yeah, it's a city to me.
yeah. Well, then I'm sure Irvine would probably seem like a city too. But no, I've got cousins down in the southern part of Virginia, and so I've spent a little time down there as well. But
Nice.
yeah, it's beautiful area. It's a beautiful place.
It is. It is. I love it. I like the scenery. I mean, the beaches are right here. I don't hardly go, but at least they're there for me not to go to.
Yeah. I'm in a similar spot. The beaches I don't go to are about 10 miles away. So oh, so tell me, you're there with a piano. Are you a musician by chance?
Yes, I compose music for the films that I do. It's really like a kind of cathartic experience because it's like a lot of the stuff I've done is pretty traumatic, and using music to kind of express the emotions of these stories is like a way of being able to feel these emotions, but also kind of let them free flow so they're not lingering in that trauma state. And then, especially like when in the end, because I always like to have a victorious character, like when you write the part of the song when like they finally overcome their demon, it's like, yes, it feels good. So yes, I am a composer as well as a writer.
Awesome. And what's the most recent project you've completed?
The most recent project I've completed is my film Natalie's Abortion, which was about a married woman who was sexually assaulted by a masked man and becomes pregnant, and uncertain of the fraternity, her husband pressures her to get an abortion.
Oh wow.
And then they're left to deal with the emotional aftermath.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like I said, definitely trauma, but I feel like if I don't say something, like people kind of like to censor and maybe not address
Sure.
things, or just if it doesn't affect them, and it's kind of like I feel like it's important to bring these type of things to the forefront.
Well, people don't like to be uncomfortable.
No, they
No.
don't. Yeah.
And that is part of the world of art. But what
Yeah.
got you into filmmaking?
Well, it's a very visual thing. Like I something I always wanted to do, and I never really said it out loud growing up. But it's just like I watched like the Indiana Jones, the 1989 Batman, Star Wars, and I was like, I always wanted to do something like that. Now, obviously, I've focused a lot on women's issues now, but
Mhm.
I'm looking to move back to more of those adventure stories. But just kind of watching those, and then like listening to like the scores that went there with like Danny Elfman and John Williams, and then of course you have the score to Braveheart from James Horner. Like all of these things kind of fit together, and it's just like I wanted to make a movie, and it's just the visual aspect of it, the fact that there's no reading, and I love reading and everything, but especially in the evening when I'm trying to wind down, and then the way that the music courses through the entire story, it's just something I've always really loved as an art form.
Okay. What what happened that got you switched from adventure stories to women's issues?
I think it's just because, for one, the women's issues was something that was doable, because like the adventure story that I want to do would probably cost like a lot of money to make. I mean, like a lot. I mean, and just starting out, sometimes the women's issues, like the simplistic story of a man and a woman in a house having a conflict, is more attainable. And then also a lot of people I've met and worked with, because I've done work as an advocate for domestic violence survivors. And when I've encountered so many women who've like had like these really terrible experiences and like the corrupt system and things not necessarily being handled properly, it's just it I encountered too many people to ignore the issue. So it was personal in terms of so many women would just kind of start telling me all these awful stories, and I was like, somebody needs to bring this to the forefront. So it was an issue of, like, personally I felt like it was something I needed to do, and also in terms of availability and this access to be able to do it in film was the main way I got into that.
Hmm. Okay. What was your first movie?
My first, I I don't even I don't even know how to say that, because I don't know which one exactly counts as the first,
Okay.
because there was times when I'm just sitting there with a camera just like recording my family, and then there was just maybe like I would say somewhat of a false start, because I was like, I want to do this movie, and then I realized how much that was in it and I wasn't necessarily prepared. But maybe I would say All Men Sleep, which is like this video I did on YouTube, which I would say that will probably be the official first short
Okay.
film that I did. Yeah.
Okay. Um, did you go to school for it? For
No, I
filmmaking?
did not. I didn't. I went to school for applied mathematics.
Okay. Now you're sounding more
Yeah.
like my sister. Um, she's a
Yeah.
mathematician. Uh,
That's
but
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, no, that's great. A lot of people don't end up doing whatever it is they went to school for because, you have to make that decision as to what you're going to go to school for a long time before you're actually going to do any of it.
Right. But the funny thing is, if you look closely, like a lot of my projects still have like some math like thrown in there.
Hmm.
So it still comes up, and I still kind of just um study and keep brushed up on the math, because I think it's important.
Hmm.
It all fits together. And plus music and math go well together too.
Yeah,
So it's just
that is true. On one side of my family, everybody it seems is either a musician or musically inclined or a mathematician or some related field. Yeah. Yeah. But
yeah.
but yeah, no, that's great. Let's see. What would you say was most important to you on your path to being a filmmaker?
Like what was most important? You mean like
Yeah, like
in terms of
what
like
happened?
starting?
What did you learn? What did you see? What did you do? What helped you along the way?
What helped me along the way? I I suppose just um I guess the will to do it.
Okay.
Um because you're gonna encounter a lot of resistance, and that resistance could just either be self-doubt, lack of confidence, maybe people around you who don't necessarily support the dream.
Hmm.
But I suppose that the most important thing is that regardless of how you feel, to just kind of go for it and keep doing it, because like there are times you might wake up and feel awful or feel like, oh, this is just this terrible, and then you're going to get feedback from haters saying the same
Sure.
thing. But the I suppose like the biggest thing is just to keep going regardless of any hindrance, even if it is yourself.
Mm. Keep going. Okay.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good good bit of advice there. Um, let's see. What are you working on now?
So I am working on another project about these seven women and how they find their lives are connected and how they find victory in the Lord. Because it's a story about women who don't even know each other, but in their lives collide together. It's called "Then Sings My Soul,"
Okay.
and how much they have an impact on each other and how important they are without realizing it.
Mhm. Okay. So sounds like there's a bit of a religious theme to this one.
Yes, yes. Like it I wouldn't call it religious, because I think religion is more about rituals, but it's biblically based, because the theme of the film is justice is a ministry.
Okay.
A lot of, I would say, religious stories tend to focus on forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
and forgiveness is kind of used as a way to circumvent justice or not necessarily hold people accountable for their actions. And the Bible talks a lot about justice, and I believe personally that when people receive justice, that they will be far more likely to be receptive to the Messiah, receptive to God, when they see that God is just and that it's not going to just kind of slather forgiveness on everything, and like, because people have had some really horrible things done to them, and to say that you are worthy of actually receiving justice is a way to say that you're loved. And that was a central theme that has run throughout this story. And I think it's important for people personally, regardless of what state they are in terms of like their personal beliefs, to see that justice is something that you are worthy of, and it is a ministry.
Okay. Great. No, that sounds awesome. Um, when are you expecting to release it?
I am probably looking sometime next year, like maybe around May at the latest.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Cool. No. Where can people of all your movies? Where can people generally find them?
If you go to my website, sulliedbride.com, I know sullied is somewhat of an archaic word, but I didn't know that until I started using it for my book title. But
Okay.
SULLIED bride.com. And that's where you can find all of my movies, the current updates. If you want to be a sponsor for any of the projects, if you click on the link, you can make uh, donations, and you can find all the media and updates on what's going on.
Great.
SullyBride.com.
Sulliedbride.com. Okay. Um, well, tell me about your book. You
Yeah,
wrote
so
it.
yeah, it started out as an essay
Hmm.
because I noticed that there were a lot of lies that were being told in church about women, and how they're supposed to be subordinate. And then actually, when I was reading the Bible, I find that a lot of that's based on misinterpretation of scriptures. And so I wrote this essay, and then I wrote another essay, and then by the end of it, I look up and I was like, well, wait a minute, these five essays are about, well, no, it's about seven essays, like, are enough material for a book. And so that's somewhat how I got started with the publishing, because I pursued getting that book published. And it starts with, we learn a typical Adam and Eve story about like, oh, Eve gave Adam the fruit and now everybody dies and it's all the woman's fault. But it's somewhat like a legal defense, because if you really look at the details of the story, like, before Eve was even created, God told Adam to name the animals.
Hmm.
And so every animal was put before Adam, and then Adam named the snake, which means one who hisses a show of force and witchcraft when deception.
Okay.
So when the snake was talking to Eve, and then it says in Genesis 3:6 that she gave the fruit to her husband who was with her, meaning that Adam was there the entire time and had met the snake before and identified him by his nature as being a snake and didn't say anything. So it starts to become a little bit more involved than just like, oh, he didn't know what was going on. It's like, no, he knew exactly what was going on, and it was somewhat of a setup. So starting from there, it changes the whole context of how people interpret that story, and that's where the book and that's how the bride has become sullied.
Okay. Okay. And where can people find your book?
Uh, well, Sullied Bride can be found anywhere books are sold.
Nice.
It's on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles. You can go on the website again and
Okay.
click over the links there. Sullied
Cool.
Bride.
Did
Yes.
you go traditional publishing or did you self-publish?
It was a little bit of both.
Okay.
So yeah.
What? How did you get into something like that? Because most people, it's one or the other.
Right. Yeah. Because it's and then I don't even know exactly what to say now because the company themselves doesn't even really do this anymore.
Okay.
So it was just I guess they kind of got it getting out of publishing too. So that was like a little bit of a dilemma for me and everybody. So I don't even know how to give people advice on what to do. It's just I guess I'm just trying as hard as I can to just tell people, well, this is the message. This is really empowering for women to like really see that yeah, you can't just let people keep blaming you for all the problems in the world and all the sin that exists. And then in terms of actually getting like through the markets or any of that, like
Okay.
I don't have a clue. I just try.
It happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What inspired you as you were writing, or well, what inspires you at all?
uh Anger, mostly
Okay.
anger. Like it's just it was really making me angry just kind of hearing these same lies over and over again. Just hearing all this distress that people are going through, that these women are experiencing, and then because they're believing these lies. And then i I got a little inspiration from Terminator 3, which by the way is not necessarily my favorite in the franchise, but when when Schwarzenegger grabs John Connor and kind of starts choking him, and and he gets angry, and then he says, uh, "Anger is better than despair," because rather than just kind of being sad or depressed or feeling hopeless about the stuff, I just started to really embrace that anger.
Okay.
And so instead of just laying in the bed and steeping about things, I just got up and just started writing like these like rage journal entries. And then after after making my belligerent rant in my journal, I edited it and and made like a coherent, logical, non-insane argument about this is how the effect that these lies have had, and this is how we can overcome these lies.
Okay. Yeah, it's not don't be angry. It's in your anger, do not sin. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So yeah. No.
That's why I edit the journal entries before I publish.
Okay. What kind of books did you read growing up?
I read like a lot of books by Lois Duncan, and I'm a little embarrassed, but like even before that I read like those Goosebumps books. That was like elementary school.
Yeah.
And I yeah, and I read like the Nintendo magazine. I don't know if that counts as a book, but I read that.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. You talked about what kinds of movies you've watched. What are you reading now? You said you read to wind down at night.
Well, no, I watch movies
Oh,
and
you
whatnot, and
wa-
I have to read during the day because,
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah.
I miss.
But I I'm reading Hidden Figures, and I know it's taking me a long time to get through the book, but I really like it. But that's the most recent. Not, I mean, I do my Bible journaling in the
Mhm.
morning, but the non-Bible book is non-Bible or calculus book. I've been reading Hidden Figures slowly.
I honestly cannot imagine reading a calculus book. No, I got through statistics, and when I got to calculus, I decided it wasn't for me. Uh,
Well, statistics can actually really turn people off to math. I mean, statistics is painful. Like, it's just, I can see why you would,
well,
feel that way.
statistics I like. I am enamored with economics and games theory and all that good stuff. It's just getting into calculus just hurt my brain. but uh, um, but yeah, let's see what else. I wasn't.
And before Hidden Figures, I read Taming the Queen by Philippa Gregory, because she has like, well, they've adapted a lot of her books for like the White Princess and the White Queen and those stories. And so I learned a lot about why I don't want the King of England pushing me around, because he was really awful.
Yeah, yeah. The kings of England have a spotty history at best. But
Yeah.
did you ever see the King's Speech though?
No, I've heard about it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. As a one-time stutterer, I definitely connected with that. But
Yeah, overcoming. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. No, it really is. Let's see. What else can we talk about?
Yeah.
I know you volunteered so much, so much right off the top, right off the bat, and all. Let's see. Where are my questions? Where did my questions go?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's this the avocado, so it's
Oh, love avocados.
yes.
But let's see. Well, um, what kinds of people do you work with? Do you do you ever work with people on your writing, or when you're making your movies? What roles do you play as opposed to what other people play? You know, or do the things that people do, that kind of thing.
Right. I work with local actors, and I I really enjoy working with them because they are so passionate about what they do, and they really believe in the project, and um, and bring everything they have to it. Um, I would like to collaborate with people. I, one thing I know about myself how to do is I need to better communicate thoughts to out loud, because since writing is a solitary activity and it's all kind of in my head, and then from moving in my head to just putting it out like what I see with directing, I've learned somewhat how to do that, but I would like to get a lot better at that, or like be able to kind of have like a really fun brainstorming session with someone and kind of like
Mm.
bounce off different ideas and develop something new, because the knowledge that you have as a group is far better than what you have as an individual,
Mm-hmm.
and people are not necessarily trained to work well in groups, because usually if there's a group dynamic, someone like kind of emerges as the leader, which is all right in certain circumstances, but I think we need to like learn how to work as a group of without a hierarchy, where
Mm.
everyone is the leader at some point where it's not just one leader.
Okay.
And that's one of my major goals, is to like really be able to develop something more so as a group than as an individual, you know.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Um, let's see. Since your book and your movies tend to be hard, not harsh. What's the word I'm looking for? Because I don't want to say negative because that definitely has a negative connotation, but difficult,
This
difficult, and you know, to get through, uncomfortable, and all. Do you have like a worst moment of your life, something that helped push you in that direction?
yeah, I actually have several of those, really.
Okay.
It's like that. And I think that having all of those moments has almost, I don't want to say desensitized, because I do care and experience stuff, but it's just like sometimes when a situation presents itself and someone might feel like really intimidated to like bring it up, but since it's like you've walked through the fire before, it's just like, oh yeah, I'm not scared to just call this out directly. So it's um it's definitely been stuff like that. And then I've gotten out of this a little bit, but I used to have this motto about like, if you're in a bad situation, just make it worse. Because it's just like, if it's already bad, like if you're gonna get beat up, like, make it worth it. Just go ahead out and just let it all just come out. Um, so yeah, I could say I've had that happen to kind of embolden me to go through
Okay.
this stuff and not be scared of it.
Right, right. Um, what's the keystone moment of your life? What changed your life and set you off on the path you're on now?
Um, I would probably say what is, I think it was this moment when I realized that I spent a lot of time, because I didn't want people to necessarily brand me as like domineering, overbearing, or I spent a lot of time trying to not offend people.
Mm.
And even after playing somewhat of a very passive role in a lot of situations in my life, I was still being branded as a villain of sorts.
Okay.
And then I looked up and realized, well, if they're going to just label me this way anyway, and I'm not even doing anything, I might as well just kind of do and say the things that I was afraid of saying, and not really care how they try to label me.
Mm.
So I would say, it was a process too. It was kind of a process of like slowly taking this filter off and not trying to constantly play nice, because I mean, the people, haters are just going to hate regardless of what you do. And so just why not pursue the stuff, because you look up and not have anything that you want in life, and still, so it's like, if you're going to be in that situation where you look up and not accomplish anything, just trying to placate the people who are never going to accept you anyway. So that was kind of like a slow process of just not being afraid of what they have to say, because it's not true anyway, and I don't have anything to prove to them.
Okay. No, that's awesome. Yeah, you really shouldn't be afraid of offending people because I mean, what are you doing trying to get people who don't agree with you to like you anyway? You know, really.
Yeah, right.
You know. But what are some of the challenges you plan to tackle in the future?
In the future, I really want to, I don't know if this is a challenge, maybe it's just personal, but I really want to do something comic and lighthearted because the world is really dark. I've done stories about how dark it is. And I think to be able to look at things for what they are and still be able to find like joy and comedy is like what people need, not as like an escape or being naive, but like you see reality but still be able to find something good and then get other people to laugh and then perhaps do something good too, and let it spread like that. That's what I want to endeavor. And like I really said that I think this is going to be the last domestic violence project for a while that I'm working on right now that then sings my soul.
Right.
And then I want to move on to something lighter and I mean comedy is a challenge. It's hard. It's hard to laugh sometimes, but you just have to.
Yeah. It can definitely be hard to make people laugh. But
Yeah.
what do you think your younger self would think of what's going on right now in your life?
Like about me or this the
About you.
world? About me.
Yeah.
I Gee, what would I say about myself now looking at me? I I don't even know. Like I think I really had to think about that question because
Okay.
what would I say? Like, oh, you can drive now. Good for you. Like,
Oh, yeah, I can sometimes ask hard questions.
yeah, that's a really hard one, I guess. You could say that.
Okay.
I can't believe you wearing that. I don't know.
All right, let's do something easier. What are your three favorite movies?
Oh, that's really hard. I can't believe you asked that because it's so many of them. Like all of them are my favorite. Like I would probably say like the Ten Commandments in terms of like that's like it's this epic story. I like Purple Rain. I like Phantom of the Opera.
Okay.
Um, I like like I said, original Batman, Star
Right.
Wars, the original ones, episodes 4, 5, and 6. Uh, I know I like listed a whole bunch of movies right now. It's Braveheart. Actually, I really am not. I like the score to Braveheart. I don't really like Braveheart because of the ending,
Mm.
but but it's personal. So like Legends of the Fall because like it's a pretty movie and
Mm-hmm.
all of that, and of course the score to Legends of the Fall. Same thing with James Horner.
Yeah.
Ben Hur.
Okay.
He's that's why it's hard. That's the even harder question because I can't like I can just list off the movies I like, and there's a lot of them.
Okay. What about influential movies? What movies would you say have been the most influential in your filmmaking?
Probably all the ones I listed, because just like I was saying with Legends of the Fall, how it's like a pretty movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the way Edward Zwick as a director like uses the scenery to tell the story, and plus like being from like this rural part of Virginia and growing up in that area, it's just I like these backdrops because Virginia's a really pretty state. So the influence of just using your landscape and the scenery to tell your stories has been a big thing for me, and seeing the beauty of your environment.
Okay. Well, that's kind of lighter, not as dark as well. Generally speaking, I mean, obviously the World War One scenes in Legends of the Fall were definitely a little on the dark side. Uh,
Yeah, definitely.
but okay. Um, well, let's see. What else can we talk about? I don't want to keep you too late because you're 3 hours ahead, and and you said you were more of a morning person. But
Yeah, definitely. I was like, I was already like falling asleep before we got in. I was like, don't sleep through the thing. You gotta.
all right. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be Catwoman.
Okay.
Yeah, get myself some henchmen, like the black leather, all of that. Uh, and then there was this period where I talked about like I wanted to be a lawyer for the IRS. Um,
Okay.
that was a thing because people were like terrified of that, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could do that. And I was like, oh yeah, and the IRS, they make all the money, like because every time somebody hits the lotto, the IRS gets that, and I'm like, yeah, that's a job I want to be a tax collector.
Now that's dark.
I know. Yeah, that's probably the darkest thing I said all evening. That's where it started when I was like sitting there doing fractions in the fourth grade, sitting there thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna get compound interest on all you people.
Okay. Let's see. What's the biggest challenge you've already overcome?
What the biggest challenge I've already overcome?
Yeah.
I think it's just um getting the film complete because I had to talk to people, like get like organize the shoots, get together, and then like I know it's talking to people. Like I said, it's not my strong point. I feel like I've really grown over the past few years that I've been doing this, but like me starting a conversation with a stranger is terrifying. Like I still don't even know if I've done that great a job of it, but that's one of the biggest challenges. Just like walking up and saying, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker. Would you like to be part of this project?" And not being afraid of like people being like, "What? What are you talking about? Like, who are you?" And so that was the biggest challenge, probably just going through and meeting the people and just and asking for help. And then I was just shocked to find out how willing people were to be like, "Oh yeah, I think that's a good idea." And I was like, "All right, good for us."
For sure. Okay, who's been your most important professional mentor?
Um, Probably my mother, because she has really been supportive of me. And then it's in just like watching her, because she was in the Air Force Reserves, and like, she uh worked as a teacher. And I remember because at first she was at home with us as as a homemaker, and then she went back to work. And then one of the most powerful things I saw was when she pulled out a typewriter and typed up her resume. And then that was like kind of the first time thinking like, oh wow, that's what I want to do. I want to get on a typewriter and start writing things. So from that start, and then also like even her having her push me to do certain things, because uh initially I would be shy about, like, I wanted to do work on the cameras and different stuff. And then she kind of forced me to talk to the people about it. So I got some of my experience working in the cameras. And then just the fact that she instilled in me like the discipline to just get up in the morning and work on something consistently every day until it was done, and always supported me in school and finishing stuff and everything. So it's definitely my mother.
Okay. Well, that's not a bad choice of mentor. Um,
Yeah.
so, okay. Well, we've gone on for a while, just the two of us. So I think we could probably close out for the evening.
All
Do you
right.
have anything you'd like to say to the nice people?
I would just like to say to the nice people, and even if there aren't nice people, you don't have to be nice. Uh, just um, just don't be afraid to just put yourself out there. And in fact, the thing that you're probably the most afraid of is probably exactly what you need to dig into, whether it's a personal or professional goal, and to just pursue it. And don't depend on like a spurt of creative energy, but just consistently work and do something little by little every day, and then you look up in a year or two and you'll be so much farther than you ever thought you'd be.
Good words. Good words. Okay. Now I have one last question that I ask all of my guests, and it's just a silly question that I ask. Consider a hot dog in a bun. Is it a sandwich?
uh no,
No.
no, it is not.
Okay.
Because of the shape of the bread, because it's the shape of the bread determines whether or not it's a sandwich,
Okay.
and it's a bun.
Yes,
So if
it's
it's
a
in a
bun.
bun, just like in a biscuit, like you can put like some turkey sausage between a biscuit, but it's not a sandwich. It's a biscuit. It's a turkey biscuit.
Okay. Okay. So type of
This
bread.
is a definitive answer. I know if you ask everybody that, but I know that my answer is correct on this one.
Confidence.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. You'll be displeased to know that the results are about even. It's not really a formal poll. I haven't really been keeping track of it, but it seems pretty much people are split 50-50 on the idea of whether or not a hot dog and a bun is a sandwich.
It's not uncommon for 50% of the people to be wrong.
Okay. Well, that's about it then. You got your last words in. So I will say good night to you and
Yes, Lilac Smoke.
run the closing credits. Remember to check out sulliedbride.com and find all of Jasmine's books on your favorite book selling websites and her movies all over the place. Go to sulliedbride.com and watch yourself a movie or two. All right. Good night, Jasmine.
Good night.
I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Remember, this has been a presentation of Bald Spots Productions. I'd like to thank my producer, my dear mother, Eileen Hatch. I am, of course, your humble host. And I'd like to thank our special guest, Jasmine Deanne Andrews, because the other guests didn't show up. If you feel so led, head over to Patreon and support the show at Bald Spots Pro. We'd love to have you. And don't miss YWL Online, new episodes on Tuesdays and Saturdays. And, of course, old episodes always available. Tune in next week for Darren Smith and Steve Boyd. Wait a minute, is it Darren? Hold on. Move too fast. Darn it. See, and now, okay, there we go. Yeah, Darren Smith. I got it right. Darren Gordon Smith. That's right. That's his email address. Ooh, I probably shouldn't give out his email address. Darren Smith did the music for Repo, the genetic opera, and I'm really excited that he's going to be on because that's a classic cult movie. But anyway, please like, comment, and share, follow to stay informed and kick those algorithms into gear so we can reach more people. And that's it. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. And thanks again, Jasmine, for putting up with my shenanigans.